And we have Steve McGill here. He coached both Kenny Harrison and Johnny Dutch, two inductees into this year's Hall of Fame. Can you give us the mindset of Kenny Harrison and Johnny Dutch too?
Okay, I'll talk about Kenny first. Kenny was very laser focused. Um, Anything that would help her to get better, she was willing to do, no matter how hard it was. I remember one time we were having a workout and she started developing a headache. And I said to her, "Hey, if you need to stop, let's stop." And she gave me the most evil glare in the world. Like, I am not stopping. I'm getting through this workout. I'm just letting you know I have a headache. I ain't trying to stop. And that kind of exemplifies who she was and is as an athlete. Always rose to the occasion because she put the training in.
Hmm. And tell me a little bit about Johnny Dutch as well.
Yeah, Johnny was kind of quiet fire. A lot of noise going on. John would be off to the side, not paying any attention to it. He was always kind of comfortable in his own space, like kind of permanently locked in, if you will, but never in a tense kind of way. So before a race, you never had to give him a pep talk or worry about this kid or that kid. You always knew Johnny was going to be ready to rock and roll when the gun went off because he was never up and down.
When you see everything that Kenny Harrison has accomplished and is still competing,
Right.
so who knows what else she's going to do. World record holder at one point and still number two all time, and two of the top four times still in history.
Yes.
Are you surprised at that?
Um, yes or no question, no. I saw the fire when she was in high school. And, I was a hurdles coach, so we weren't together every day. So I knew if she could get in a situation where she has a really strong coaching on a daily basis with her work ethic, the sky was the limit. I think the 12:20 that she ran did surprise me, that she ran that she was like 22, 23 years old when she did that. And I was like, whoa, But knowing her work ethic and knowing her talent and her drive and desire, uh, to see her doing what she's doing is not a surprise because you gotta have the talent first of all. No matter how much hard you work, if you don't have the talent, you can't make it. So she had the talent, she had the will, and she had the willingness to learn. So you put all that together, it's a recipe for success.
When you think about athletes like Kenny Harrison, what sets somebody like that apart? I don't mean specifically her, but what if somebody said, what are the ingredients of the world-class Olympic world record holder, Olympic champion, or Olympic medalist? What would it be? What percent?
Yeah.
What does she have in that?
Yeah, I would, my personal, not everybody would agree with this, but my personal answer would be the ability to be relaxed, calm, cool in the most pressure-filled situation. Um, and that comes from how your daily habits at practice every day are established. So if I look at Kenny, if I look at Johnny and some of the other athletes I've coached who've made it to that level, they all have that in common. Even some of the ones who might be more chatty in everyday life, when it comes time to practice, they're locked in. When it comes time to race, they're super locked in. So when you're talking about talented athletes running against talented athletes, who are gifted by God, and everybody else they're lining up against is gifted by God. I think the thing that sets them apart is that ability to stay calm and stay focused. Sometimes when we use the word focus, we think of focused, like a football player, but track focus is a lot more, it's more calm. And those athletes, Johnny, Kenny, have always known how to do that without having to be taught to do that.
And one last question. I know Kenny seemed genuinely excited when I was corresponding with her, through email, I guess Instagram email, and seemed genuinely excited. I know you got a chance to talk to her too. How did you get a sense of that? And also, how, as a coach, double question, as a coach, how does it make you feel to have two athletes that you coach be inducted into the Hall of Fame, considered two of the best of all time?
Yeah. Well, first part of the question, yes, she was excited, and I told her that you had contacted me about receiving the award in her honor since she couldn't be here. She was like, "You started me, coach, so I really want you to be there." So I was like, that really touched me. And then what's the second part of the question?
About just being being the
Oh
coach.
yeah, being a coach of two, it's incredible. When you're going through the grind of every day, you just kind of just do what you do, and when you have success, you move on. When you have failures, you move on. It's always the next day. So an event like this gives me kind of a chance to kind of look back and say, wow, the 9 people inducted and 5 athletes, and 2 of those 5 athletes I coached is saying I must be doing something right, So it's really cool, especially because of the relationships that were developed with them. You travel, different meets throughout, winter, spring, and summer. You build relationships with these people, and it's kind of like, how many years later it is. Johnny graduated high school in 2007. So that's 16 years ago.
Wow.
Since we were together. It's like, see him here at the ceremony. It's like, hey, what's up, bro? So it makes you really feel like, you did something that helped the world be a better place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one last, this is the last question.
Okay.
As a coach, there's other coaches out there that would say, what were you doing? What are you doing to make them great? And I know there's not one specific,
Right.
key ingredient, but what would you say is something that other coaches can learn from that you've learned as a coach?
Really, to me, I think any success I've had has been based on my absolute willingness to experiment during practice. No matter what my plan is heading into practice, there's always a moment of, let's try this. And I'll never let that voice, I never push that voice to the side. If the idea comes to me, let's try something different. Like maybe lead arm's doing this, let's try doing this instead. I'll go with it. And if it doesn't work, we'll drop it. If it does work, we'll go with it. So I think for me, I was, talking to the videographer here. He told me he played trumpet and played some jazz. I'm a big fan of jazz, and that's where I learned that from. You have a plan, but you're always able to deviate from it and create in the moment. So, I think if you're coaching out of a book, you can only go so far. If you're coaching out of what you learned at the clinic, you can only go so far. You have to coach on the track in that moment with this athlete. And so I never coach any 2 athletes the same, despite the fact that I have fundamental principles I want to impart. I want them to be able to have their own style, and their own personality come out when they run.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming here today to receive the award for Keni, and thank you for everything you did for her and for Johnny Dutch. We, as fans of the sport and the next generation, get to appreciate everything that you built into their lives and that they were able to accomplish. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.